People often ask if they should crate train their puppy. Some are a little hesitant, and some people even say something along the lines of, well, I would never crate my child, how could I crate my puppy? And my reply to that is, good. Don't crate your kid. That'd be weird, probably illegal, definitely don't do it, we're in agreement there. But your dog's not a kid. Your dog's a dog, right? Dogs are den animals by nature. Why do you think you often see them sleeping in the corner, under a table, behind a chair? They're denning up. This is natural, and it makes them happy. Because of that natural behavior, it's important to give them a secure place to retreat and feel safe. Crating puppies also helps prevent bad habits from arising. We'll talk about sizing a crate later in the video, but when dogs have too much space, potty training is almost impossible. Another point to consider is that puppies are not mentally mature enough to be left on their own. A huge number of puppies die every single year from ingesting something they shouldn't have, and the vast majority of these situations could have been prevented if the owners had simply crated them when they weren't watching them. Once I've explained all this to a client, 99% of crate-hesitant people are on board and are now excited to crate train their puppy. That being said, there's still that 1% who says something like, I love my dog just like I love my children, and I could simply never crate them. At that point, I say something like, well, would you ever leave your 3-year-old child home alone while you go to the grocery store? And they say, no, of course not, and they look at me like I'm crazy. And at that point, I pause. And sometimes there's an awkward silence, and it feels a little bit weird. And after a couple seconds, they start to come around, because realization hit, right? You would never leave a 3-year-old child home alone unattended because they can't be trusted to make smart decisions. The same goes for your puppy. My next follow-up question is, are you prepared to take your dog with you at all times, everywhere you go, and never leave them home alone? And the answer, of course, is no. Who can do that, right? We have schedules and we have places we can't take our dog. So, the point is, unless you're going to hire a full-time dog nanny, you need to crate train your puppy. As you can tell, this is something that I'm pretty passionate about. If you agree, hit that like button, drop a comment below, tell me how you crate trained your dog and what that process was like. If you don't agree, still drop a comment below, tell me I'm nuts, tell me I'm crazy, tell me I'm wrong, and give me some points so we can have a discussion about why you don't want to crate train your dog. Still feel free to hit that like button though. Once you've decided to crate train your puppy, the next step is to figure out what kind of crate and what size. This is a typical wire crate. It's the most common crate we see in a client's house. They sell them at pretty much every pet store. They're nothing special, but they're fine for the average dog and they're pretty easy on the budget. The biggest issue we see is sizing. If you put a puppy in a crate this big, you're probably going to have some issues. What they'll do is they'll run to the back corner, they'll go to the bathroom, then they'll run to the front corner, lay down, and go to sleep. So what I would suggest is get a crate divider. They really just look like, they're a piece of metal, looks kind of like the side of the crate or almost like the door. And you just put it wherever you want in the crate, kind of running from one side to the other, and they hook around these bars here. They work wonders. What it allows you to do is give your puppy much less space. They just need enough room to be able to turn around comfortably and lay down and sleep. If they can run around, that's going to be a problem. You also want to make sure the crate is big enough as your puppy grows. What will happen is one day you're going to look at your dog and realize, whoa, you got a lot bigger, and they might not fit in their crate anymore. You have to make sure that your puppy can stand all the way up, they can stretch their head, they can turn in a circle. If they're bumping their head against the top of the crate, it's too small and it needs to be replaced. The next consideration is where to place the crate. I always crate young puppies in my bedroom, and I do this for 2 reasons. The first is that long term they're going to sleep in my bedroom anyways on dog beds, so why not just start them there their first night? The second reason is they've just been separated from their mom and their siblings. This can be scary and stressful, and being in the room with you at night and knowing that someone else is there can make the transition from their prior home to yours much easier. If you don't want them sleeping in your room long term, you can transition them somewhere else over the next couple of weeks. In my house, the goal is to get a dog to the point where they no longer need a crate. Depending on the dog, this can be anywhere from 12 until 18 months. Don't rush it, it's not a race. You want to get to the point where you know you can trust your dog and they're going to be safe when you're gone. When you feel like they're at that point, take it slow. I don't want you to leave home one day and just leave them out and hope for the best. Start with 10-minute intervals. Go to the end of the block, hang out for a few minutes, come home and make sure they've done well. If that goes well, then move up to 15, 20, 25, and slowly build it up over a period of weeks until finally you trust them for a full workday. If this video convinced one person to crate train their puppy, I'm going to consider it a huge success. If you have any questions on the process, please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to help you.